Senator DeMint, make the argument that the Tea Party movement can appeal to centrists, to Democrats, and to independents, as well as to small government Republicans.
Well, Judge, I don't have to make the argument. There's been good polling done of the composition of the Tea Parties around the country. 40% of them are independents and Democrats. I've been in a lot of these crowds. A lot of them are Americans who are not even affiliated with a party or have never been involved with politics. But the focus of so many Americans is becoming more and more simple. Less spending, less borrowing, less debt, less government takeovers. And so you've got people of all political stripes now coming together around the ideals and principles of freedom and rejecting this big government takeover approach we're seeing in Washington now.
Got it.
So I think what's happening now may be the most unifying force that we've seen in America in a long time.
Senator DeMint, Congresswoman Bachmann, Congressman Army, stick with us. Our freedom fighters agree on some fundamentals. Now, is it a winning election strategy? More with DeMint, Bachmann, and Army on Freedom Watch. This is Freedom Watch. I'm Judge Andrew Napolitano. Staying with me are some of the Tea Partiers' favorites: Senator Jim DeMint, Representative Michelle Bachmann, former Congressman Dick Armey. Tea Party-backed candidates won several June 8 primaries, and one of them will try very hard to take Senator Harry Reid's Senate seat in November. But does the movement have a clear enough agenda so that we'll see more politicians running on it and enacting it? Or are the Tea Partiers just another constituency politicians will humor in order to get elected? Senator DeMint, to you first. You did ruffle a lot of Republican feathers amongst the Republican leadership by the people you chose to back. Stated differently, everybody you're backing is winning.
Well, Judge, it's exciting for us who want change, real change here in Washington, not to change our country. Again, to see Americans standing up and backing these candidates who are supporting the principles of freedom. And as we've gone out across the country, whether it's Pat Toomey in Pennsylvania, Marco Rubio in Florida, Rand Paul in Kentucky, we're seeing in Nevada Sharon Angle, who wasn't expected to win. I think you're seeing something in America that we haven't seen in our lifetime, and it's going to be key to pulling this country back from the cliff, because this is where America is.
Right.
And Judge, folks are trying to say the Tea Parties are far to the right. They're right in the center of where America is right now. And like Ronald Reagan said, this is a matter of up and down. It's not a matter of right or left. The Democrat Party is so radicalized, so beholden to unions now, that they're not even relevant to the process of democratic government now. We need
Congresswoman Bachmann, one of my favorite pieces in all my time on Fox News is a clip of you grilling Secretary of the Treasury Tim Geithner, asking him where in the Constitution does the federal government have the authority to micromanage health care? What is it about what's been happening in the government and in the country today that middle Americans are waking up to? Let's see. We have a Constitution. It says what the government can do and what it can't do. And everybody in the government took an oath to uphold the Constitution. Why aren't they following that oath? How can that message, why is that message resonating today?
Well, it's resonating, Judge, I think because quite literally it's the Democrat Party and Barack Obama's agenda in particular that lit the match on voter discontent today in the United States. People have never seen the federal government take over 51% of the private economy, but that's actually what's happened in the last 18 months. Either through direct ownership of private industry or through control of private industry. Plus, now our debt to GDP ratio is at about 93%. We're looking at getting up to 102% within about 4 years' time. These are very serious consequences, and the American people are smart people. They're looking at all of the information that's going on. They're seeing incompetence at the federal government level in dealing with this BP disaster, and they're really voting for the original foundational block principles of our Constitution that brought us prosperity and brought us the greatest liberty that any people have been lucky enough in the 5,000 years of recorded history have been able to enjoy.
You can't see this, but Jim DeMint and Dick Armey are both shaking their heads yes, yes, and yes as you're saying this. Congressman Armey, we only have a few seconds left. What is the one issue that will unite all the Tea Partiers this November?
Well, I think it's individual liberty, protect our right to be us. That's what the Constitution about. Go back, as Michelle said, to the foundation principles and mind the store. You know, you don't have to spend like crazy people. Here, the fact of the matter is, we stand in the center of American politics.
Right.
The Republicans come to us, they will win. The Democrats are devoted to their extreme liberal, intolerant point of view. Punishing their own is about all they'll get done in this election cycle.
Congressman Army, Congresswoman Bachmann, Senator DeMint, it's been a pleasure. Thank you for joining us on this initial version of Freedom Watch. Whether the Tea Party movement lasts or not, resistance to the growth of government will continue. A change in attitude has occurred. In normal economic times, the average citizen is interested in getting his small share of the government pie and isn't too alarmed about the long-term cumulative effect on personal freedom and on the value of the dollar of all those programs. But the long term has arrived, and the bills are now due, and the unsustainability of big government is plain for everyone to see. And before you dismiss the Tea Party movement because of some of its internal differences, keep in mind the infighting, for example, within the Democratic Party. On June 8th, the same day that Tea Party-backed candidates won major victories in Republican primaries across the country, the Democratic Speaker of the House, Nancy Pelosi, was heckled at a conference in Washington organized by the Campaign for America's Future. Take a listen.
Ma'am, you're throwing stuff. We need to leave.
Look, I am going to have, excuse me, I'm not leaving.
The protesters weren't right-wingers, but left-wingers, angry at Congress for continuing military entanglements overseas and possible health care rationing at home, and angry at her for not giving away cash fast enough. You can't blame the protesters for feeling frustrated. The government has made a lot of promises that it cannot keep. Time to rediscover the constitutional limits on what the government is supposed to do. We'll be doing our part here at Freedom Watch. We'll be your night watchman, keeping an eye on big government, from the latest frightening policy to everyday bureaucratic bungles so inane one can only laugh. If you suspect that you can spend your own money more wisely than Washington, or that politicians may not be the best qualified people to tell you how to run your life, keep watching. And of course, you can do more than watch. Join us online. Take part in our poll. The question: what's your Tea Party 2012 presidential dream ticket? You can email your responses at freedomwatch@foxnews.com. Put 2012 in the subject line. You can also visit me, judgenap.com. Welcome to this struggle. This is the first Freedom Watch. If we do our job, you can make it the first of many more to come. Thanks for joining us. We'll see you next week. From New York, defending freedom. So long, America.